The Adidas Boston 11s, 50 plus miles deep. Is this shoe holding up to what people have told me it was going to hold up to, or are we having problems right away? Let's talk about it. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're subscribed, watching content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Strava for all sorts of other updates. Links in the description below. Without further ado, let's begin. Specs for the shoe right up here. And yeah, let's just right off the rip go and check out what the outsoles look like 50 plus miles deep. I like doing the 50 plus mile review because it kind of shows you right away how long you expect this shoe to last, and especially with something new that I haven't used before, like an Adidas carbon plate shoe. This is just something I'm a little more curious about as I kind of run with them. So yeah, first things we'll note is usually on this channel, like my right foot tends to supinate a little bit more, so we like to see what's going on there. Right off the rip, I was told this is like using official Continental rubber on the course of the shoe, so it should last me longer and it should do better. That's what people have said. This is what we've got going on just on the side of the right shoe. The yellow rubber is holding up quite well. If I've done anything at all, it looks like I've worn out some of the color in that central area, like right about here. But it's also worth noting that based on my strike pattern, I wonder if we can tell from here exactly how it's landing. It seems to be smoothing out when I'm like hitting the ground this way. So I'm definitely striking the ground this way and then I'm lifting off that same way. So there's like a slight breakage happening, and as you can see, it kind of cracks in the middle of those rubber pieces. Just, if I don't know, it's hard to see on the sides. I will try a few angles just to kind of tell you what I mean, but like in the middle of each yellow line, it seems to crack right about there. So the foam has some the rubber has some crack points. We have a little bit of wear also in the top of this toe box area where the foam kind of meets the rubber. And overall, the ride itself, despite all this damages, it's supposed to be kind of stiff because it's this like carbon plate, even though it's like a plastic plate running across the shoe. It's performing really well and it's fairly consistent. So when I was using this shoe more often, I was out in Orange County for a work conference, and I was using this shoe for like those longer runs, like the 10K, the 5-mile run. It was using for 7.5, so it was available running on just trail roads, and the shoe it feels great. It feels smooth. I don't have any particular issues with it at this 50-mile rip. The only major concern I had that I kind of like addressed maybe last time that I'll reiterate for our 50-mile review is that when running in Orange County, it's kind of like a dry, humid climate when you run out there, so you're more prone to blisters. This is the same thing that happens when I was running in Silverthorne up in the mountains. It's low humidity, high elevation. It's the same thing that can happen when you run in somewhere like parts of Arizona, maybe like Flagstaff potentially. And what happens is, when you're more prone to blisters, areas of the shoe that would have been otherwise potentially not as comfortable but mitigated as a result of some humidity are now pain points on the shoe. So what I said last time I made this review for the shoe is that this Adi Zero insignia, right about at the bottom of this area, is where I was experiencing a minor blister just developing on the shoe. And you would feel it as you were running, but after like the form kind of got into its shape and I wasn't, my feet weren't like necessarily caving into the shoe, that issue would ultimately remediate itself. But it's worth mentioning that it developed as a result of running in the Boston 11s and having it in the Vaporfly Next% 2s in those particular climates. So the shoe is not perfect in terms of comfort, but I don't expect all that comfort from this type of shoe that's, a carbon plate, everyday racer style shoe, right? If you have your race day shoe, you would expect, again, a little bit more of a comfort, a lot more speed that gets offered, whereas here, it reduces a little bit of speed, it tries to give you a little bit of more of the comfort, and as a result, and some longevity, of course, and as a result, that's kind of what we're dealing with. We don't have a high expectation for a carbon plate shoe that weighs about 10 ounces, or 10 ounces in my particular size with this high of a stack height. So yeah, as an everyday racer, it's holding up quite well, and I do have probably one other concern is that, again, the shoe does tend to get tight in terms of the fit but not in a bad way. We mean this like in a perfectly streamlined way. So if you're transitioning out of like, this is more of your notice, not your caution or your warning. It's a notice that if you're transitioning out of like a Nike shoe, which is like wider, a little bit more comfortable, maybe a Hoka One, or in this case, just a Hoka shoe. If you're transitioning out of one of those shoes into an Adidas Boston style shoe, the shoe tends to be more streamlined. They make it a little bit tighter of a fit. And as a result, you have what I would deem a much more speed-affiliated run. You're going to get a little bit more kick out of the shoe, and it's just going to feel a lot more. And I keep saying streamlined, but yeah, it's going to fit more like a glove than most of your other shoes, which will kind of have some space to move around, kind of some space to crack around as well. So just be wary of that when you run in this particular thing. That it's not going to be perfect. It is going to be, again, have some more of that streamlined feature to this shoe. So yeah, just some of my thoughts there at this point. Again, 50 miles in. During all the runs that I've used this for, like, the kick is pretty consistent. Like, the foam doesn't seem to like degenerate or fade away while I'm running. So if I'm like 4 miles deep into the run, it still feels like as long as I put into the shoe, it's going to put out. It's not going to feel like the shoe's getting heavier over time. There isn't like too much moisture developing while I'm running in the shoe. And yeah, the foam is just comfortable, but again, you got to keep in mind that with a streamlined fit and having the stiffness of this high of a stack height with neutral stability and having this plastic plate in the shoe, that you are going to experience a little bit of discomfort more than like some of your everyday trainers that are available on the market. And I think that's like really where I want to leave it. There's not a whole lot I want to update with it right now. I think at 100 plus miles, I want to see really what starts happening to the outsole of this shoe, because again, you guys said it's official Continental. People have run in this foam and it's lasted forever. And I want to see if you guys are correct. So yeah, we're going to put this thing through, we're going to put it on trial by fire, put it in a live scenario, and just see what happens with it overall. So I think I'm going to leave the video here. If you agree or disagree with assessment, let me know in the comments below. If you have the Boston 11 or the new rendition Boston 12 and you have some changes you've seen between both shoes, let me know in the comments below. If it's worth picking up a Boston 12, again, let me know as well. But yeah, the Boston 11 as it stands, it's pretty good everyday daily racer shoe for me. Kind of a daily trainer as well if I want to kind of kick it in splotches. So a lot of good stuff happening on that end. So with that in mind, I'll leave the video here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.